Hello and welcome to the Eden Gathering podcast. Thanks once again for tuning in. It's so good to have you with us. I'm sat back here in our little studio with a handsome guest opposite me. And one of the things that I literally love about doing this podcast is that I get to chat with people and hear their story, sometimes about them coming to faith or some of the issues that we've discussed in the past, and today is no exception. So I'm so happy that you're here, Russ.
Thank you,
Russell.
Ben Lasky. You never introduce yourself on the podcast.
No. Oh, I'm Ben Lasky.
Yeah, man, that's good.
Oh, well,
good.
I just assume people know. I have a bit of a following. That couldn't be further from the truth.
Oh, I see. You don't have to introduce yourself.
No,
famous.
a man that needs no introduction. Cool. So, Russell, you're a fan of the Eden Gathering podcast. We were having a little chat.
Absolutely.
Massive
there's
fan.
I need to catch up on this week's, but
mate,
yeah, love it.
So I'm so glad you're here. So you've got quite an interesting story. But before we get into that, why don't you tell us just a bit about yourself? Where are you from? Who is Russell?
Yeah, well, I'm from Maidstone in Kent.
You poor thing.
Yeah, I know. But I had a pretty good upbringing. Good family, good friends, everything. Never really had any great tragedies. It's all been pretty good. Good school life, fairly good work life, and that all changed.
Okay.
When was literally on Facebook, I met Sammy, who's my partner, and
just literally on Facebook.
Yeah. We met on Facebook, and so we got chatting, and then I moved up to Suffolk after not straight away.
Yeah.
And and we're now settled down in We've got two kids, which are absolutely amazing, Forrest and Kiefer. And life's just keep changing, keeps throwing me curveballs and keep adapting. And there's a few more curveballs coming.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Sort of finding faith and a new job and starting a business at the moment.
Wow.
And
so it's all going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So talk to me a bit more about your upbringing. Are you brought up in a Christian home, or what kind of experience of faith do you have?
No, absolutely no experience really. I remember when I was really young, and I can't remember how young, but I did used to pray.
Right.
And I used to say the Lord's Prayer every day or every night when I was going to bed. And I don't know why I stopped, but all I remember is that when I did stop, I never prayed again. And I have no idea why. Right. And I think we used to pray in school, primary school.
Okay.
I can't remember how old I was, but just literally stopped and never prayed again.
Yeah. And so part of why your story is so interesting and the big headline is, I guess, that you found faith in Buddhism. Is that correct?
Kind of, I guess.
Tell me about how you got to a place where you were kind of exploring what life meant, and how did you stumble across that? I
mean, this was so sort of kind of in my recent history, really. I guess I was trying to find something, and I think I just went online and found like a Buddhist group, and we used to kind of sit down, go through Buddhist books and then meditate, and sort of got into that kind of lifestyle. And I don't know if you can just call yourself a Buddhist or not, because you have to be kind of initiated, which is weird. But then, loads of people do just call themselves Buddhists. So I'm not sure really whether I was or wasn't. But I think that what that sort of did was really sort of soften up my attitude towards religions.
Yeah. So what was your attitude towards religion generally? I'm trying to get to because you don't just end up Googling randomly. How did you kind of think, I need to find this sense of belonging? And
I don't know. So, I'm not sure.
Was it it's okay if it is random. I'm just trying to.
No, I don't think so. I think that because my attitude towards religion was completely the opposite as it is now. So growing up, obviously I used to pray and everything, but then later on in sort of my teens, I think I tried to reach out to a few Christians. And there was a few, like an ex-girlfriend's dad was a Christian, and I'd try and broach the subject with him a little bit, but never really got like invited to talk about it more. And there was a few people in my sort of in my time during that sort of phase of my life that I did try and reach out to,
Right.
but obviously not quite hard enough.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So, I'd try and talk about it, ask a few questions, and I think really I was hoping for that invitation, and I would have accepted that invitation to either come to church or to talk more about it, or even be given a book and say, read this or whatever it is. And that never happened. And I think I felt quite knocked back by that. And so moving into sort of like middle teens, I'd already started developing this kind of, I wouldn't say
resistance sort of thing.
Yeah, I think hatred's far too strong a word, but certainly
a resistance towards kind of faith and God.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you have any sort of preference towards a religion?
No.
Obviously, you kind of had that kind of Christian school upbringing, it sounds like.
Well, I don't think the school was particularly Christian, but there were prayers said in the school. But no, literally nothing. And I think when I started living on my own in my early 20s, I think, again, I tried like once more to sort of try and reach out and grasp something. And there were a few times when I would sort of decide that on Sunday I would go to a church service to see what it was like. So I knew my town fairly well. I knew where all the churches were, and I'd see like service 10 o'clock.
On those little signs outside.
Yeah, exactly.
Churches,
so I'd really build it up over the week. And Saturday I'd probably start getting a bit nervous about it, and I'd be like, but I'm definitely going to go. I just want to go and see what it is. It's probably BS, but I just want to go and see what a church service is like.
So what were the nerves? What were some of the barriers then? Was it
it's that kind
that
of...
you just didn't know anyone? Is it just that social anxiety, or is it a bigger...
It's them big doors.
Yeah.
You don't know what's on the other side.
Yeah.
And for all I knew, I was going to open the door and everyone in the congregation would all just stop and just turn around and be like...
those weird pubs that you
why
sometimes
is he
go
here?
into.
Yeah. What's this guy? You're not allowed in here. You're not a Christian.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I didn't realise that it was probably quite acceptable to just walk in.
Yeah, in fact, it's our goal.
Yeah, exactly. But no, those doors, they're always shut. And when you do go in, they're heavy, they creak, they bang, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think, and so there was a few times where I would actually walk to the church and I'd just walk straight past it.
Wow.
So
you'd get to that point of getting up, going out,
putting
a nice shirt on maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. I probably thought about it a lot. But and I just walk straight past the church.
Yeah.
And maybe turn around, come back, have another go. And it's that thing, because you don't know whether if the service is at 10, are you supposed to arrive at 10?
Yeah.
If I arrive at 10 past, is it going to be in full swing and I'm interrupting?
Yeah.
If I arrive early, am I going to be the only one there?
Yeah.
It's horrible. Really horrible.
Yeah.
So
that's so good for me too, because I've been in church my whole life. I've never experienced any of that, so that is really insightful. So thanks for your honesty there.
Yeah.
We must do more as churches to make it easier for people, and that's kind of what Eden's about as well, and the Forge is about, is trying to take away some of those barriers.
Yeah.
So hopefully we did that.
I think with the Forge, having the welcome team, the signs, if you are heading to church, you're not going to walk past thinking that no one's there.
Right.
You are going to get welcomed. You are going to get invited in. And at the very least, people are going to say hello to you. Do you know what I mean? So if I think that if the churches around Maidstone had what the Forge has, I would have gone in years ago.
Wow.
Because, you would have got there, you would have just had that invitation. Yeah. And I think that's what I was lacking, really, was the invitation to actually go in.
Yeah. So fast forward then a few years. So you and Sammy got 2 children.
Yeah.
And you've typed into Google or Bing. Other searches are available, but all are useless.
It was Google.
Yahoo. Ask Jeeves. You know, and then you find this Buddhist group.
Yeah.
And tell me, how long were you part of that? What did that look like for you? So you mentioned meditation. What I'm not very cultured. I don't really know what sort of Buddhist meditation is kind of rooted in. Or
well, it was quite interesting at the time. I think I joined and I was with them for probably a year on and off. I mean, it was every week.
What is this like? So it's like a church.
Well, it was meeting in people's houses, so it's a bit like what we would call small group.
Yeah.
And you'd meet, and we would have like a 20-minute meditation, and then maybe watch a video about how to sit still well.
Brilliant. I could do watching that.
Yeah. How to sort of think about nothing, and how to
So it's focused on nothingness rather than something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like welcoming the thoughts, and whether they're positive or negative, you sort of wave them on.
Yeah.
So as they come to you, you just wave them on.
Yeah.
And you become an observer of your thoughts.
Yeah.
And I sort of, after a little while, it became really, I would say interesting, but I think uninteresting is the term, because we were sitting around and people are talking about this, you know, different ways of sitting still and what it means.
Yeah.
And
it sounds funny, but it's probably not funny.
Different levels of etherealness and how you can come out of your body and or go in. I don't know, whichever way you fancy.
Is that like Doctor Strange sort of stuff? Yeah. You've seen Doctor Strange?
Yeah, well, that's what it feels like until you realise that no, you are just sitting still.
Yeah. So, what kind of effect did that have on your life and your family and you as a person? Was it something that was
certainly
helping
helps, and I think that something I've always, because I've always had quite an interested mind.
Yeah,
I've always been, I wouldn't say a reader, but certainly an investigator. If I hear something, I'll read up on it, and I find it really interesting. And I've always known that taking that time is healthy. It's good for your mind to have that rest from thinking about your busy schedule. And sometimes I kind of feel, well, that's what praying is.
Yeah.
So I think even from an atheist point of view, praying is still good for you, because you're taking some time, and even if you just feel like you're talking to yourself, it's still good for you mentally to have that time. So, and that's kind of what meditation is, but you really don't need to be sitting there for 2 hours. Ooh. And I think that I really got, so what kind of finished it for me is seeing Christianity.
Mm-hmm. So talk to me about that then. So what was your first experience of Christianity, and when did that enter your life? And
well, that smashed into the scene meeting Johnny Abbott.
Okay. Smashed in.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I mean, well when...
So Johnny was on the podcast.
Yeah.
He did the Love Does What thing.
Love Does What?
Love Does What?
Love Does What?
So, and he's a location leader of Forge I.
Yeah.
Sorry, back
so
to you.
when I was being set up,
set up.
Yeah, as in the Forge I, not the actual town.
When I was being... Okay, I understand.
So Johnny was there.
It's like, what were you set up to do?
I was being set up.
Yeah.
And so I was working at the bank, the cafe in I at the time.
Right.
And so this sort of whole...
This is getting so confusing. I was in in the bank, which is a cafe.
Yeah. So the bank in I is a cafe.
Yeah.
That I worked at. I think.
Brilliant.
I think that's right. Anyway,
keep going. Sorry,
but not Barclays. Yes,
opposite Barclays.
So opposite the bank is the bank, which is the cafe that I work at in I. Gotcha.
But it's not the cafe.
It's not the cafe. That's new. I don't work there. Yeah. So Yeah, so we rented the space in the cafe. We rented the space to this sort of huge host of Christians that used to just bowl in there on a Monday night,
Right.
and do whatever these weird Christians do.
Yeah.
And
This is before my time. I don't even know what they did.
oh wow, well, no one knows. We shut the doors. We lock them
Those
in
big
and then
doors.
let them out again at 9 o'clock and clear up. Yeah, and so I'd sort of meet Johnny and open the doors for him so that he could come in, and then I'd help him in with some stuff and I'd chat to him and then come back after 2 hours and help him sort of clear away a little bit. And I was sort of intrigued about what was going on there.
Yeah.
And he was very open about it. They were setting up a church, and this was like a meeting to how they were going to set up the logistics. And there was music, which was news to me. I didn't realise you had music at churches other than hymns and an organ. So and then a little while later, Johnny came in and sort of said, are there any jobs going? Because he wanted to sort of setting up a church, he wanted to obviously be part of the community, and so he wanted to work in for like a day a week. And so he started working at the bank on a Tuesday. And so I was in there and I'd chat to him and he'd be like, oh yeah, come to church. And I'm like, yeah. maybe another time, oh, that sounds great, mate. But another time.
So are you still kind of, in quotes, practicing Buddhism?
No,
Buddhism?
No, I got bored of sitting around.
I screwed up saying that. Buddhism.
No, I got bored of sitting around. I think that what I started to realise is that taking the time to yourself is good, but at the end of the day, you are just sitting around. You're not helping anyone else, and I quite enjoy helping other people. Yeah. And that's where I always went to. Yeah. So I'd always say, well, what's the point in this if you're only helping yourself, you're only lining your pockets or whatever it is, business or any other organisation, you've got to be helping other people. Yeah. Which is something I didn't realise the church ever did. Yeah, I thought the church was come to God's house. God wants you to give him money. You need to show your love for God by giving him as much money as possible.
It's such a shame.
And and I'd look at a church and I'd think that is such a shame. All those people have been conned into giving up their hard-earned money so that the church can be the biggest landowner in the UK. And that was my real, anger towards the institution, which is the church.
And you still felt that about the church when Johnny was kind of having these conversations with you, or would you say?
Well, I guess so. Yeah. But then actually, Steve Fenning came to meet with me one day.
The big boss of the Forge.
The big boss, yeah. And this
Gandalf
was
of Forge. Not that old. No, he's a bit more. What's Gandalf's weird cousin in The Hobbit?
Radagast.
Yeah, that's more Steve
He's one
Fenning,
of the five wizards.
Yeah, that's Steve Fenning. Tree just definitely just fell on the studio. We can edit that out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Speaking of editing, I bought some treats. Can I get them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Well,
Russell has got a Russell-y bag.
Two things.
Is this in the podcast? Are we still
I wanted to make Alex's job harder.
Okay.
And also, because I'm now a Christian, I can celebrate Christmas whenever I want. Yeah. So I bought a load of Christmas treats.
Oh, dude. This is definitely staying in. Oh my goodness, there's a Santa.
We've got mint matchmakers.
There's matchmakers. What are those?
Chocolate orange.
What are those? Are they Smarties? They're Christmas Smarties in a tube the size of a rocket firework. Cheers, mate. Wherever you're listening to this right now, feel free to enjoy a Christmas snack. So yeah, Steve approached you.
Yeah. So Steve, we've gone to church a couple of times. And
how had you found that? Talk to me about the first time you went to church.
Okay, so
be totally honest.
So at the time, Johnny was actually being like a massive help.
Go on.
To me and Sam, and I should really say Sam and I if it's going to be on a podcast.
You are not. I'm not the person to correct you on that.
Anyway,
people will tweet.
So Johnny, we started really making friends with Johnny, and he was really helping us, sort of really knock down a load of those like what I call like Christian barriers. So I knew he was a Christian, knew he was the leader of a church, didn't really understand what that meant, but I'd start asking him all the old questions like, if God is so powerful, could he create something that's so powerful that he couldn't destroy it? Because if it, you know, all those sort of stupid ones, and he'd come back with the answer, that's just human language. Do you know what I mean? It's got nothing to do with God, you know.
Right.
And he'd sort of dismiss it, and I'd be like, oh, that wasn't fun.
Yeah.
It's normally fun when you ask Christians these
Yeah.
really awkward questions.
Yeah, and they try and squirm their way out of it.
Yeah. So, I'd shoot all them, and he knocked them all down. And then I think Game of Thrones started, and he didn't have. We had Sky, and he didn't. So
he
it was
basically just came around yours to watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah. But we'd make him talk and stuff first, and I'd ask him a load of other questions. And I think I said to him something like, I sent him a text, and I was like, there's so many different types of Bible. Which one should I get? And he was like, don't worry about it. I'll get you one. And so he gave me a Bible. And I thought, I'm going to read this Bible. I'm going to find all the loopholes. I'm going to find out why it's so wrong. I'm going to find out exactly. I'm going to disprove this. This needs me on it. I need to read this so I can disprove it, and I can cure everyone of Christianity. I'm going to sort this out.
How did that work out for you?
Not so well. Well, I read Richard Dawkins' book, The God Delusion.
Great.
And I found so many holes in that.
Yeah.
Like, I started reading, and every single chapter, and this was before I read the Bible, I'm like, well, that's not right.
Yeah.
I've
never read it, but I've heard very mixed things.
It's really interesting to read,
Yeah.
just to see how
like
wrong
a
a point of view can be, how the most, the best known atheist in the whole world has these massive gaping great big holes. And even if you're reading it from an atheist, if you've ever read any law or even science, whatever, you can just see these huge holes in his arguments. They're just nonsense arguments.
Maybe not such a good book.
No, it's awful. It's so awful.
Why is that the atheist go-to?
I think it's because it's got the word God in it, and atheists are just attracted to God.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you even really call yourself an atheist?
Yeah.
If
you're reading that book, what if you're an atheist? Why are you reading it?
Yeah, exactly. It's because you want to find out.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I always want to find out the other side of the argument.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to argue something to me, I'm like, don't bother arguing. I just want to see the other side, and then I'll come back to you and have a look.
Yeah.
But I started reading the Bible, and I was just, it's so exciting. The first.
You start from the start?
No, I started from Mark.
Okay.
And as instructed.
Okay.
And, and I was like, wow, I'm a few pages in, and there's his, casting out demons and doing miracles and all this. And I think, actually, this is faster paced than I thought.
Well, if you're a Game of Thrones fan, the Bible is the perfect book.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
So you came to church.
Yeah.
First impressions of church?
First impressions, wow. I didn't
The
realise
music was amazing?
No, I don't think I was one of the...
Rude. That is so rude.
No, to be fair, I was humming along.
Oh, yeah.
On the first day. I just absolutely loved it. And then I think the second time we went, I was already starting to sing. It was amazing. And I would have cursed myself for getting that involved.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. But no, absolutely loved it. And we were in sort of the other part of the school, so not where the forge usually is.
Yeah. We met in the canteen.
Yeah. And I think it might have been a full band. Yeah, I think it was, because I was really, really impressed at how it, there was drums, as in real drums, and a guitar that was amplified. Do you know what I mean? And I think there was keyboards and it was a full band, and it was rocky music.
Yeah.
And I was just blown away. It's not hymns.
Yeah.
There was no organ. It was just, it was fantastic.
A little bit of organ sometimes.
And then Steve was starting the Miracle Grow series, and it was really funny.
Yeah.
And I laughed, and I thought I was going to be really against it. I thought I was going to have my shell on and just hate everything. But I went because I couldn't keep saying no to Johnny. because he'd invited me so many times that I
Yeah.
thought I've got to go just to shut him up. And
Yeah.
then, but no, we walked away from the first church service actually going, that was really good fun. We actually really enjoyed that. And we'd decided about 2 minutes after we left, we'd already decided that we were going to go back.
Brilliant. And the kids liked it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, at the time they would have been 1 and 4. And so they have like the creche. And we were sort of, when we spoke about it to our sort of friends and family, we would go, oh, it's great. Oh, it's just good to just get rid of the kids for an hour. Do you know what I mean? A bit of music and get rid of the kids. And you sort of feel like you have to justify going to church without God being involved.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you, especially how I've grown up, you really feel like you have to justify it. And just that, I've lost my train of thought completely.
No, it's just, you were just talking about that you decided to come back
Yeah.
the next week.
Yeah.
And then, so how did you then, because then you got baptized not too long ago. Well, it
Should I
probably
tell
was.
you, should I finish about Steve first?
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Okay. So Steve got in touch and he wanted to come and see me at the bank. And he came and we had a good chat. And it was sort of like they were interested in the bank, not necessarily as a venue for the Forge, but he was interested in it. And he wanted to talk to me and he wanted to talk to me about my situation. And the bank was kind of changing hands. So there was one lot of directors involved that quickly went off the scene. Mm-hmm. Everything was a mess. And another few directors started. And I was kind of in the middle. I hadn't been paid for 2 months and it was a really, really tough time. Right. And I was hanging in because I thought there was a job at the end of it. Because I wasn't really qualified to do anything else, but I'd been working there for a couple of years. So that was my job and I was just trying to hold on to my job. And Steve come in, he had a chat and he said, well, we'd really like to help you out. And I said, well, what do you mean? And he said, well, we can give you some money to pay your rent that month. And I just said, no, no, you can't do that. And he said, well, part of your journey, part of being a Christian and coming to church is accepting help. And he, how did he put it? He kind of said, if I can't help anyone, you know, then I'm, you know, so you're kind of helping us by letting us help you, sort of thing. And I was a little bit like, oh wow, that's amazing. It was quite emotional to accept help because I hadn't really accepted help from anyone before. And the Forge paid our rent that month, and I just thought, wow, this church has come along and hasn't asked me for my money. They've actually given me theirs, and that just sort of smashed so many things that I thought about the church. And it made me realise that Buddhism is going to be sitting down, meditating, but the church, especially the Forge, actually do help people. And so that was one of the things that made me so attracted to the church, is that actually this is a place where I can go and at some point I can come and help people as well, which would just be, you know, amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you've started coming to church. How do you get to the point of accepting Jesus? How do you, because then you got baptized.
Yeah, I got baptized in September last year. That was really incredible. And I just, it was probably towards the end of the series of Game of Thrones that we were watching. I just said to Johnny, I think I asked him like one week, so what is all this? And he explained what baptism is. And I think another week later, I sort of thought, yeah, I am interested. Yeah, that'd be cool. And then I had no idea how much it meant to other people.
Yeah.
I thought, you know, this is something that's going to mean something to me. It's part of my journey, but other people aren't going to be interested in it. And it's almost like a party. Do you know what I mean? It's so celebrated. Yeah. And yeah, it just really makes you feel like part of the community. So,
brilliant. And so how's your life changed since becoming a Christian?
so much has changed. Certainly the way I view others.
Yeah.
Obviously a lot more forgiving. And I don't bear grudges.
So you're a bit of a nice person to be around.
Possibly.
Have to ask other people.
Yeah, well, I've found that God does literally answer all my prayers.
Wow.
If I pray for something, there's always an answer. And that might come as a conversation with someone a few days later. One of the biggest and most obvious things was when I started a job last year.
Yeah.
When I'd left the bank, I started doing a bit of gardening. Then I started getting involved in building work. And that was shortly after becoming baptised, actually. And I prayed on the way to work for probably one of the first times that I properly prayed for more than, like a minute or so.
Yeah.
I actually spoke to God and really prayed. And I prayed for a sign that I was doing the right thing. Completely changing career, going into building. I just prayed that he would send me a sign to tell me that I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
And I got to work. One of the first things I had to do was shift a load of bricks. Thought, oh, brilliant.
Nice.
The first brick I turned over, there was a cross on the brick, carved into it. I'll show you a picture.
Seriously.
And I just knew that was the prayer that had been answered. And I've still got the brick. I took it home with me. No other brick out of those 2,000 bricks had crosses on them, but it was just the first one I turned over.
Wow.
And I'll have to show you a picture. You have to put it on the website
definitely.
or something. So, because no one listening to this, no one's really going to believe there was a cross on it, but there seriously was a cross. Wow. And yeah, God has just answered every prayer I've had.
So how would you encourage someone then? There'll be a lot of people listening to this podcast that are Christians but struggle to tell people about their faith. And then there'll be a whole bunch of people that are struggling with their faith and don't really know how to take that next step, whether that be baptism or whether that just be going to church for the first time or just having a conversation over the next season of Game of Thrones. So what encouragement would you give firstly to Christians about how to tell people about Jesus, how to break down some of those barriers that you experienced? And secondly, an encouragement for those that aren't Christians and are looking away to kind of fill this void that you felt.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be meals. It's sitting
food.
down. Yeah, it's got to be food.
Yeah,
yeah, it's the way to everyone's heart, and I think it's God's way to our heart as well.
Yeah.
So it is literally just. I think it's difficult because we don't really have people over for dinner that much. It seems to be something that our parents used to do, go to dinner parties. But actually, you can just invite anyone to your house and offer them egg on toast. You just be frank and say, look, I haven't got a lot of money. It's not going to be a dinner party, but why don't you come and have a meal and we can talk about it. Or you could just say, well, let's come and have coffee. And you don't have to plan to talk about anything. But eventually, if someone has something on their mind, it will come up in conversation. And the best way to speak freely is over dinner.
Yeah.
So
good. Yeah. And an encouragement to those that are seeking faith.
I think get on the Eden Gathering website.
Whee!
Yeah.
Which is edengathering.co.uk.
Oh, nice plug.
Yeah. Well, you set me up and I just...
Yeah. and yeah, get because Eden Gathering are doing the meals.
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the things that we really focus our whole attention on is food.
Yeah,
food
we did ours. Sammy and I did ours.
You hosted a food night. How was
last week? Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah.
What
it was
food did
really
you do?
good. I did
egg on toast.
Egg on toast, yeah. Famous egg on toast. No, I did my signature dish, which is like a Mexican everything. So it's like you've got your fajitas, your nachos, your rice, your cheese, your proper chili, a bean chili. Then you've got your salsas and your guacamoles, and it fills up
Get in my belly.
everywhere in the kitchen, and then everyone just grabs a plate and helps themselves.
Nice.
So that's my sort of signature dish.
Well, the next time that we'll be gathering together is on the 1st of November. And maybe you feel inspired by this podcast to bring a friend. And yeah, it's just going to be a great night, I'm sure. And there's going to be food at the start, probably. Some sort of food. We've had cupcakes, pick and mix.
Nice.
And other little treats. So it's always worth coming out to. Russ, thanks so much for coming on, mate.
Thank you for having me.
It's been great to have you. And yeah, I'll see you guys at the next live Eden Gathering event. Check us out on the website, edengathering.co.uk. Drop us a tweet, drop us a message. I've been at Benjamin Lasky. Do you have a Twitter or something that you want to plug? Or
No. I have a new business though, Russell Levi.
Russ Levi?
Yeah.
Well, I think you have to pay us money if you want to be. This is not a sponsored podcast. It's been so good to have
But
you.
you can go to russelllevi.com and check out our range of services.
No, blah. Alex, play the music over this.